All right, good morning. Hello, everyone. Oh, thank you for that. So I am super excited to be here, and it's such a privilege to be here with all of you and to see all of you in this room. Welcome to Engineering at Stellenbosch University. My name is Dr. Margaret Tardy. I am a chemical engineer. I work at the university. I'm a senior lecturer, and I'm wearing pink today to break the stereotype. So today is about breaking stereotypes. It is about dreaming of possibilities, especially for women in engineering. So if you're thinking about it, there's so much that you can do. Hopefully you're thinking about it, and hopefully I see you in my classroom next year if you are doing your matric this year. Okay, so today we've got a really exciting program for you. We've got incredible women who are going to speak to you about their journeys. And what I need you to do is to think about your journey right now. And I need you to think about all the possibilities that are in front of you. And I want you to hold on to that because it's all possible. So that's what today is about. So welcome all the learners, parents, teachers. Thank you for making the time on a Saturday. This is the best place to be on a Saturday. And with that, I would like to welcome the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, just to welcome everybody.
All right, thank you very much, Margaret, and welcome to everybody here. I also have to tell you, the Dean is also like the CEO of a large company. The turnover of this faculty is 500 million rand a year, right? So that's the size of the business we run at the Faculty of Engineering, 500 million rand. And of course, it's not me that do all the work, it's all the wonderful students and all the wonderful staff and the researchers that do that. But my job this morning is to welcome everybody here. So I'm very happy to see so many faces. Like I say, we're back in the three-dimensional world, the 3D world. But we also have some people out there in the 2D world as well, and we hope that you'll step out of your 2D world into our 3D world next year or the year after that when you come and join us as new first-year engineering students. I have to welcome all the learners, the grade 10, 11, and 12 learners from different schools in the Boland, the Oeverberg, the Swartland, the West Coast, and the Peninsula, as well as their parents and their teachers. And thank you very much, especially for the parents who are here, who are interested, and for the teachers who are doing a fantastic job as always. Because if it wasn't for you, of course, the learners, and I wouldn't even be here if you didn't do a good job at school. We have our Vice Dean teaching here somewhere. I saw her. There she is. She's going to speak a little bit later. And also we have some other colleagues here, some other lecturers who's going to make some presentations to you. We have our outgoing and our incoming student leadership here as well. So thank you very much for, this may be your last official act. Thank you very much for being here. And then I've told Matt and, sorry, I forgot your name, Ms. Brits is the new incoming student leadership. Then of course everybody online, and then I also want to specifically welcome two of our guest speakers. They are both online. One is Mia Gous, and Mia is the Senior Regional Vice President of Newmont, Australia. So she's actually in Australia. I believe she's in Perth this afternoon. And Mia, I hope you did not watch the rugby, okay? But Mia, thank you very much for being available this morning. And then also Renette de Villiers, and Renette is a senior project engineer with performance projects at Silverstone Park. And if those of you, I know everybody that's interested in engineering would know, Silverstone is where the British Grand Prix is held every year. And we're looking forward to hear from Renette as well. So I'm going to slip in some words. I'm going to go a little bit off script here, so I apologize for that. And I'm just going to say, you're going to hear many reasons of why you should come and study engineering at Stellenbosch. But I'll give you the one most important reason, and that is because at Stellenbosch, you will get a quality engineering degree. And it is of such a high quality that that degree will open up for you employment and study opportunities not only in South Africa but in the world. Some of our students go on to study at the best universities, Cambridge, MIT, Berkeley, Leuven in the world. So if they accept our graduates and they actually encourage them to come there, it must tell you that we have an internationally recognized quality degree. And also the wonderful thing about engineering, it's a very transportable or transferable degree. So you can work in South Africa, you can work in Australia, you can work, no, don't go work in Australia, we don't like them at the moment. You can go work in the Netherlands, you can go work in Chile and a bunch of other countries. So I really believe that we have a quality product, and that is our main selling point. And then I'm just going to go a little bit more off script if I'm allowed to, and then I'll walk away. What do engineers really do? And I always say there are two things that engineers really do in the world. We improve the quality of life of all the citizens of the world. We give them electricity, clean water, transportation, roads, communication systems. So we improve the quality of life. And the second thing we do is that we are actually the only people out there who say, we can say we create wealth, right? So you have all these guys working for Sanlam and Old Mutual who are now in trouble. You know, they always say the wealth creators. They don't create wealth. It is engineers who go down 3 kilometers down the earth, get a piece of rock, bring it to the top, extract some metals from it, manufacture something of value of that. That is what creating wealth is all about. And that is what engineers are responsible for, and that is why you should seriously consider a degree in engineering at Stellenbosch University. And Margaret, now I will stop. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm so happy you're all here.
Thank you very much, Vickers. So we're going to start off the program right now, and I will introduce the first speaker, who is in Australia, and this is Ms. Mia Gous, and she's the Senior Regional Vice President of Newmont, Australia, which is a big mining company globally, and she studied at Stellenbosch University. She did her undergraduate here, she did her master's, and she's now out in Australia. So this, again, is an example of possibilities and where you can go as an engineer, not just as an engineer, but I think what's really special is that me as a woman.
Good day, my name is Mia Gous, and I'm the Senior Vice President for Newmont in the Australia region. Newmont is the world's largest gold mining company, and we have operations in North America, South America, Africa, and Australia. And today, I would like to share with you a little bit of my life journey and my career journey that started very much right where you are now, when I decided to study process engineering at the University of Stellenbosch. Brought along a few photos so that we could visually share a little bit of this journey that I've had thus far. So as I said, many years ago, I had to decide, what am I going to study? What am I going to be? And I had the opportunity in my year 11 year when I went to the winter school at Stellenbosch, where they showed us all the different types of engineering. And I fell in love with the university, the campus, Stellenbosch itself, and the engineering faculty that they have there. I decided to study chemical engineering at that stage because I loved chemistry so much. And Stellenbosch didn't only teach me engineering, it also taught me independence, because I lived in the residence there, very much far away from where I grew up in Port Elizabeth. I had to be independent. I learned independence. I formed so many amazing friendships that still to this day I have. And I had the opportunity as well to start my leadership journey there, because I lived in the Erica residence and I became part of the house committee that was responsible for 200 students there. And it very much taught me what is important if you are trying to lead people at a very early stage of my life. Now, I studied through a bursary that I got from Mintech. Mintech is a research facility situated in Johannesburg, and because they paid for my studies, I had to go and work for them for at least 2 years. And I was very fortunate to land in the pyramid department where they have many different pilot plants doing evaluations of processes and chemistry for global companies that before they actually construct a big operation come to Mintech to test the process there. So I got this foot into the door into being a metallurgist in the pyramid department. And through that, I then got an opportunity to go and work at Anglo American in Saldanha at the ilmenite smelter at Namakwa Sands. That was what it was called those days, to do ilmenite smelting of the ore that came from Vredenburg, from Vredendal, sorry. And got the opportunity to work with teams, do commissioning of a second furnace. And I spent 10 years at that facility working in the ilmenite smelters at different levels because I started as a metallurgist, became a superintendent, later became a production manager and a technical manager. And because of all the good work that we did in teams there, and continuing on my leadership journey after 10 years there, Anglo American asked me, do you want to go and work in Ireland and become the concentrator manager there at the zinc and lead facility at the Lachine mine in the middle of Ireland in County Tipperary? So my husband and then 2-year daughter and I packed our bag and took our first step out of South Africa into the international arena when we went to Ireland to go and work there. It was wonderful. It was a new commodity that I learned and a new culture. Lots of challenging times. We had an underground mine with a surface operation, and we exported our zinc concentrate from Cork into the global market. But after about 2.5 years of working there, Anglo American decided to sell all the operations that they had in zinc and lead so that they could get money to expand their copper mines in Chile. And I thought, well, if that's where the money is going, that's where I want to go as well. So I asked Anglo American, please send me to Chile. And that's what happened in 2010. I got the opportunity to become technical manager at the copper smelter, once again pyrometallurgy, in Katemo, which is a small little town, as you can see there from the photos, just an hour north from the capital, Santiago. And I worked there for 4 years. Wonderful experience, learned a new commodity, learned a new culture, but most of all, I also learned a new language. Because where I thought everybody could speak Spanish, I was much in for a surprise because the Chileans basically only speak Spanish, and I had to learn the language in order to effectively be able to do my job. So, very good opportunity, very big challenge for not but me only, but also for my family. But I think an opportunity that enriched us all and taught my daughter to be very much a world citizen rather than just associated with one country. We also had our second daughter there, and in 2016, after 20 years in Anglo American, I decided to go to BHP when they offered me an opportunity to go and work at their Spence operation in the north of Chile, in the Atacama Desert, close to the city of Antofagasta. Now, the reason why I decided to take this was it was my first step really out of process engineering, because the opportunity they gave me was to be production manager of the processing facility, but as well as the mine that moved 105 million tons of material annually. So, packing our bags once again, we left for Antofagasta. And after I worked there for about 2 years, they promoted me to becoming the general manager. And I became the first female general manager in Chile to actually be female. And it was a bit of a shock, and I couldn't understand why is it that so little females decide to actually study mining as a career. And the mining industry is so full of opportunities for both men and women equally, but it is currently so hungry for female and diverse talent to come with different thinking and change the mining industry overall to become a safer and more productive and efficient operation. So I became the general manager there of the operation, and we also had the opportunity to do the big expansion project, which is the photo that you can see there on the screen, where 6,000 people were building that facility when COVID came. And it was quite challenging to keep that construction going, but we managed to do it safely, and we managed to commission that operation to expand not only the production but also the life of the mine. And we had very good experience as a family as well in Antofagasta, learning the culture further of the north of Chile, which is very much different than when you live in a capital city. And then last year, I got the opportunity to come to Australia with Newmont, which was a big carrot to come to a new country, learn a new commodity, which is the commodity of gold, and come and live in the town of Boddington, about an hour south of Perth. And one of the big attractions there was the fact that while I was general manager, we actually commissioned the first autonomous fleet of 40 trucks in the gold industry. And we had 4 conventional trucks and 36 of these autonomous haulage trucks, a massive project, very big challenge, but as a team we managed it, and we came out on the other side successfully. And I think because of that opportunity, once again, Newmont gave me recently the opportunity to become the regional senior vice president for the whole Australian region, which consists of the Boddington operation as well as the Tanami operation in the north of Australia. And basically, I think what I would like to share with you today by sharing my journey, which is still continuing, is that there's so much opportunity, so many different diverse routes you can take. Mine that I've shared is only one of them, but believe in yourself, dream big, work hard, and the opportunities will come. So good luck with your decision that you need to make on your career. And I can honestly say that starting my career at this University of Stellenbosch, I believe, was key in the success that I've had. Even till today, I use those connections that I made while I was there. And I'm very proud to say that I come from the University of Stellenbosch. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you.
So that was really inspiring for me, because my journey is not finished and your journey is not finished. We're at different parts in our journeys, but we're all on a journey, and that's absolutely incredible. So moving on from process engineering, by the way, process engineers are chemical engineers. Again, what can I say? But now we're moving on from process engineers, and our next talk is actually an interview. It's an interview with Renette de Villiers, and as Vickers mentioned, she works at Silverstone, which is where the British Grand Prix happens, which is the best team in Formula One. No, the correct answer is Mercedes-Benz. Yes. Okay, our next speaker is Renette de Villiers. This is an interview which she did with one of our lecturers, Melody, who is here as well. So there she is waving. You can talk to Melody after this, but I'm just going to cue that up.
I'm Dr. Melody Neves, and I'm a lecturer and researcher at the Department of Mechanical Mechatronic Engineering at Stellenbosch University. We all know how very important it is to have various role models, especially for young girls and women who are considering a career in engineering. Today I will interview a previous classmate of mine, Ms. Renette de Villiers, who went on to do amazing things both in her postgraduate studies and in her career as an engineer following her undergraduate studies at Stellenbosch University.
Melody.
Hi Renette, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
We are joined today by Renette de Villiers, who completed her bachelor's in mechanical engineering at Stellenbosch University in 2013. Renette has, in less than a decade since then, made a big name for herself in the United Kingdom in the traditionally male-dominated motorsports sector. Renette, welcome. Thank you for joining us today and agreeing to this interview.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Let us talk a bit about the very beginning, Renette 1.0 in high school. When you were in high school, what were some of the career choices that you considered all in all?
I think when I was about grade 7, I was very interested in the space industry. It was something that fascinated me, that not necessarily mechanical engineering, but just everything about space. And I was obsessed. And that got me interested in science, mostly in mathematics. And then after that, I had an aptitude test done when I was 16. And that said that I'm mostly interested in the mechanical side of it, which I agree with. And that's essentially why I chose mechanical engineering.
Then you decided to study mechanical engineering at Stellenbosch University. In fact, we were in the same class. Very happy about that. What sparked your interest in mechanical engineering?
I think it stemmed from my interest in mathematics and science. And from there on, you can go into, if you have mathematics and science in high school, there are many opportunities for studying at university. So my main considerations were engineering and BSc, but I wasn't sure which BSc I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that was a bit more practical focused. And I liked the thought of not necessarily working on cars, but working with cars, designing components and going from the process of designing something on a computer to actually having the component in your hand. I think mechanical engineering was definitely the right decision for me.
Why Stellenbosch University in particular? Did you have any other choices of other institutions?
I didn't consider any other institutions. I'm very lucky in that I grew up in Stellenbosch and I was very familiar with the campus and familiar with all the residences. I knew which ones I wanted to go to. My brother went to Stellenbosch before I did. He's 2 years older than I was, so I was part of that whole process of him exploring university and seeing what the life was like, and I just wanted to be part of it. Yeah, I might have considered UCT for about a minute, but Stellenbosch was always my first choice.
You and I know that undergraduate engineering is challenging, but very rewarding. What was the most challenging part for you, and how did you go powwow and rose above this?
You're 100% correct. It is a very challenging course. I think for me, the most challenging thing was the gap from matric to first year university. It's harder work. It's not necessarily far more difficult, I don't think, maybe a little bit, but it's just a lot of work. The workload is very high. From the start, you have to put in as much work as you can, because it's going to be, the earlier you start putting in the work and building the habits, the quicker it becomes part of your university education. But anyone can do it, if you put in enough time, you can definitely get through it.
So then we move on to Renette 2.0. You moved on to the UK to do your master's at Cranfield University. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I decided somewhere through my university degree at Stellenbosch that I was interested in motorsport engineering. And the reason why I liked motorsport specifically was because motorsport is not just about designing something, it's about making it work at its best, so to optimize it. And I quite liked the thought of the optimization process. So I looked up motorsport courses, and there was 2 in the UK and 1 in America that I could find. And then I looked up what I needed to get into them, and I had a phone interview with the one in Cranfield. It was a fantastic opportunity for me, and I am very, very grateful for the opportunity because I learned a lot about myself. So yeah, that was a fantastic opportunity and a great course to study.
So that was Renette 2.0. Then we moved on to Renette 3.0 when you got employment in the UK at quite an interesting job. Can you share with us what it is that you do on a normal day at work?
I've had 2 jobs since leaving universities. The first one was in an automotive manufacturing company. It was for a company that manufactured automotive interiors. 2 years after taking that job, I got a job with Performance Projects, who I'm with now. It's a small design consultancy. We're only 3 people. So we basically design and build interesting prototypes. So it's not just motorsport. The most exciting projects we worked on was we designed and built some steering wheels for the GT3 racing series, which was fantastic. And if anyone's heard of what a McLaren Senna looks like, we did the track day version for that. We did the steering wheel for that, which was fantastic. And I've got my steering wheel on a Lego car, which is great. It's just I think that's the highlight of my career, was the Lego McLaren Senna. Right now, we're working on a project that looks at the labour shortage in the UK in agriculture. So it's an autonomous electric robot that deals with the crisis in the fruit picking industry. So we get to work on a wide range of different projects, and it's really exciting.
Many people imagine engineers sitting in their offices and making calculations or doing technical drawings all day. What are the biggest misconceptions people have about your job?
When people think design engineers sit behind a computer and just design all day, and I do that sometimes. It is part of my job, but the job is far more varied. So I get to deal with suppliers and make sure we get the parts in time. So it's very supplier facing, which I enjoy because I like working with people. Also, I get to physically build things and put them together, which is also really exciting. So it's very far from just designing things, but I also get to design things. One of the biggest misconceptions in my job is that people think engineers don't like working with other people, but that's one of my favorite things about the job.
Do you recall in our class back in 2013, we were less than 10% female? Now that I'm a lecturer, I've got some good news for you. That number has now doubled to about 20%. How does that make you feel?
That feels great. I think that's amazing. We definitely need to get more girls in the industry because I'm lonely. I want some friends. So I think there is a general, not necessarily spoken, but a bit of a background misconception that the women are the people who answer the phone and then divert them to, the man that can answer the question. And I think that needs to be fixed. It's getting better, certainly, but that would definitely be helped by just having more women in the industry.
Do you feel that your gender gives you a different perspective and experience from your male counterparts? And are there any specific advantages as a woman?
That's a really good question. And it's not a question I get asked a lot, because usually people ask what are the disadvantages. Because I'm a woman in engineering, working in a field that often has only middle-aged men, is you stand out a bit more. So if you phone up a customer and talk them through a problem, they think, oh, this is great. I spoke to that girl last time. I want to deal with this company again. So it makes me a bit more memorable in a lot of senses. And in some ways that is an advantage, because even though I feel like I need to work harder to prove myself, it's also almost easier to then be remembered for it.
If you weren't a mechanical engineer, what would you be doing today?
If I wasn't doing mechanical engineering, I might be doing a different kind of engineering. I also feel I have a very big passion for getting high school students interested in engineering, which might have been, because I am an engineer, so I want to get especially girls interested. But I've done a lot of maths tutoring in the UK, and that's something I really enjoy. So it also as a way to help kids and high school students get interested in mathematics is a big part of being interested in engineering. So I think if I wasn't doing engineering, I don't know, I'd probably be a math teacher. I think I'd really enjoy that.
What do you wake up looking forward to in the mornings, and what's next for your career?
When I ever get a bit demotivated about getting up for work, as everybody does, I try to think about the bigger picture. So especially with what we're working on now, has to do with electrifying tractors, which I think is really exciting because it goes to the UK's carbon net zero goal for 2050, and we're all contributing to that, and that's great. So that's what gets me excited, is not thinking about my daily tasks because we all get bored with that sometimes, but thinking about what I'm really working on and what we're all working towards and making a better world for everybody. In terms of what's next for my career, I've actually taken a new job that I'm starting in October, which is for the National Grid, which is like Eskom in South Africa. It's also working towards electrifying the future. So it's the same kind of ultimate goal, but on a different side of it. So I was a bit surprised that I was interested in a job with National Grid because it's not very mechanical. It's more on the electric side, but transferable skills. Any engineer can do any kind of engineering if they really want to.
So when you're not busy being an engineering genius, what other hobbies are you busy with? What are you doing after hours?
So I think it's important to have stuff that can get you away from work a little bit. So I do try to spend as much time as I can in the gym. So I do some weightlifting. But I've recently bought my first house and I've been trying to do as much as I can by myself. And I find that the engineering background has helped massively with that. You know, things like drilling holes into the wall, mounting brackets onto walls, some light fittings and things, surprisingly, has been easier than I thought it would be. And it's not just things that I've learned in engineering, it's just the confidence of trying things. And if you don't know something, you know, you figure it out and you watch a YouTube video and you look for some advice and then you just try something. And that's been fantastic for me.
So Renette, you truly have made your mark in the field of motorsport and other types of engineering, and Stellenbosch University is of course very proud. Before you go, what message do you have for girls and women interested in studying engineering?
I would just say, don't short sell yourself. You know, if you think anyone thinks that you can't do it, you can definitely do it. And often the problem is that you yourself might think that you can't do it, but you know, there's nothing to lose in trying, and you might find that you actually love it and you're actually fantastic at it. Because I think that anyone can do it. If you have an interest in engineering, we need more engineers. We definitely need more female engineers because we bring a different perspective to the industry. So I think, yeah, just give it a go. Just see what happens.
Wise word from Renette de Villiers. Give it a go. Great, thank you. That was amazing.
So we're going to have our next talk from a really incredible woman. And she is a genuinely nice person. Yes, you are, Annie. So our next talk is going to be from she's a professor, Professor Annie Becker. We're going to celebrate you, Annie. Yes, and break the stereotypes. Our next talk is from Professor Annie Becker, and she's been in Antarctica. Who dreams of going to Antarctica here? All right, yes, you can. I don't. That is not my best life, but this is Annie's best life. Okay, over to you.
Thanks, Margaret. I'm going to try and flip you from chemical to mechanical, from not wanting to go to Antarctica to wanting to go. Morning, everybody. I have to think back maybe 25 years or more to being in your seat right now and trying to remember like what it was I was wondering about, struggling with, and I hope I can get through this in one piece. I don't know, but it's a very important topic to me. And I also think about your parents and how much they've invested in you to get you to this point today. And yeah, I hope I can do justice. But the title of my talk is actually The Best You Can Be in This World. So I want to tell you a bit about how I ended up in engineering. And then, yes, we are here to punt the degree, and I think it is one degree with endless possibilities. But that cannot be the end of the story. And I've also done my best to try and make my career advice to you a bit more generic, and that will be with what I will end off. I realized that my parents have been so instrumental actually in how I turned out, and much more as I grow older and older, I realize I'm actually leaning on them more than ever. So this is already something that you have in your court, and perhaps you don't, but I think you can identify mentors in your life and take from them what is positive and hold that very close to your heart. Consider the horizon of influence that someone will have in your life. The popular girl at school will not be there when you are 43, believe me. Her voice should carry the same weight as the amount of presence, influence, love, and care that she has for you in your life. That goes for the hot boyfriend. That one is difficult, ne? Or the person who you really aspire to be, but who maybe is not equally interested in mentoring you. Now for me, I have a very strong father who was a mechanical engineer, and I think still is, but so much more. And the inspiration towards becoming an engineer started on our way to school. Crisp Benoni mornings, straight out of Benoni, ne? Straight. My dad's driving us to school. I can remember my legs sticking to the black leather seats and the anticipation of me and my brothers as we stop at our favorite traffic light. It's really early. The road is empty and it stretches out straight in front of us. The countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, and on the green light, I can feel the engine roar as the car accelerates. My eyes are fixed on the speed dial and the stopwatch. 90, 100. Before school, I had already completed my first wide-open throttle vehicle acceleration test. So how can I not end up as a mechanical engineer? The same goes for both my younger brothers. Now you might wonder, where is this girl's mother in all of this, you know? So in the evenings, we were making some music. My mom on the piano and me on the violin. In the beginning, it would be about getting the tonality right and sticking to the rules of Suzuki Violin School. But I think at the bottom of all of that was true passion and a love for music. We were practicing, and it would turn into a game. We would race each other to the end. And I can remember really experiencing the sound and vibration of my instrument. On the topic of my mother, she's had more than 18 years worth of university education. She's a qualified pharmacist and a doctor. And from her, I've learned that you should never stop learning. Your life will have many phases. Being young, a student, young and working, maybe getting more serious in a relationship, maybe children. The children are going to grow up. They might leave your house. Maybe your path is entirely different. But whatever you do, it must be something that you are passionate about, something that you can grow in and that you will want to do for the rest of your life. And it's never too late. She started her medical practice at the age of 50. Here at Stellenbosch in engineering, I was lost. I arrived here not having a particular passion for the inner workings of the internal combustion engine, and I had no idea what a roll bolt looked like. Engineering drawings for me was a nightmare. After being a star at school, I was no longer the star of anything. But university life was immensely enjoyable. I truly like mathematics. And I'll be lying if I said that the hot guys in my class did not have a role to play. So I also hope the men stay in engineering. It's important. Yeah. But the biggest thing that changed from being in Benoni to being at Stellenbosch University is the lack of having to hold back. I always had to hold back. But people are so brilliant that you can just give it all you have. In my third year, I had a class with a very special professor, and the class was called Vibration and Noise. And in this class, I remember realizing that this is it. Like all that engine vibration, the thrill of driving and music, like this is where it comes together. I want to show you an example. Here we have a plate. It has some salt sprinkled on it and a shaker in the center. Listen with your ear. That note is the frequency at which the shaker is moving. So this vibration makes these beautiful patterns. You can also hear like what it sounds like. So when that pattern forms, and there's infinitely many of them, it's almost like the sound wants to get into your ear a little bit. Now, this is like a structure that is being excited by vibration. And in my first job, when I finally got to work after studying forever, I was working as an engineer at Optimal Energy. They were a company that endeavored to develop South Africa's first battery electric vehicle called the Joule. And what you see on that vibration plate is exactly what happens during the wide open throttle acceleration that I was talking about. But so, a typical day at work, yes, it was sitting behind a desk, sitting through meetings, I really don't like those, and then being a test engineer, like on the front seat like of the Joule electric vehicle. This is a prototype we called PT Panda, slalom moose test. So can you hear, that sounds more like an aeroplane. So nowadays, electric cars are designed, to be able to like accommodate the symphony that would really, really make people buy these vehicles. And also make them safe, because blind people cannot hear them at low speeds. Before I even finished my education, I was actually in 2 car crashes. One of them, actually with the dean, like in front of a Cadbury's factory in England. And I became very aware of how instantaneously your life can change if you're in such an event. And to show you how diverse engineering is, like here, I've been talking about cars, but now we're talking about structural strength, like how a structure channels forces. And the person inside of a vehicle is who you want to protect. Main structural element of the body is the skeletal bones. And that was my PhD at the University of Cape Town, was about making a material model and investigating at what force a bone would break if it's squashed at different speeds. So enter ethics. Can't just test on human bone. Have to find a surrogate. So now I'm reading about the cellular structure of cow bone, dog bone, human bone, finding a similarity there. And I wanted to show this equation because this is how you're going to feel sometimes. This is my groot equation. I don't know about you. It's like very scary. But I wanted so badly to understand it. I wanted so badly to use it. It didn't happen. I didn't just read it and understand it. I spent time and more time on this, again and again. I didn't do it alone. I was talking to lots of people. Any roadblock like that, I believe, can be overcome by never giving up. Today I'm here at the University of Stellenbosch. We do a lot of research on the SA Agulhas 2. This is South Africa's polar supply and research vessel. My job is about standing in front of a class and teaching, but it is also consulting with students. So I have about 12 postgraduate students. So after you've studied your engineering degree, you stay for 2 years longer, you do a master's, you stay for 3 years longer, you do a PhD. And one of the things I love the most in this world, it's my favorite thing, if someone would sit down and talk to me about what I find really interesting. And that is my job now. To have these young, intelligent people come through my door and talk to me about what I love to hear about. This is a dream. So the SA Agulhas, the work on the SA Agulhas, we've installed like a multiple sensor network. So you can think of it like an engineering nervous system. And it's measuring every twist and bend of this SA Agulhas as she goes through the harsh waves of the Southern Ocean and the ice of Antarctica. And here is a short video snippet. Come on, Margaret, this is amazing. It is ice and openness. And I've actually had the privilege of going to Antarctica twice on the course of our research. This year, I was part of a very special expedition called the Endurance 22. You might have heard of a famous polar explorer, Sir Ernest Shackleton. His story was that he went down to Antarctica, his ship got stuck in the ice for 10 months through the darkness of winter. There were 28 men on board, the ship got crushed, and it disappeared under the ice and under the water. Yet all 28 men of them survived. One of the most incredible survival stories of all time. Now this expedition went to go and look for the Endurance under the ice, 3 kilometers deep. I can't tell you, if you read the history, you'll understand that this is massive, massive. And what you're looking at here is a wreck that's been there untouched 100 years ago, with those lettering, Endurance, still preserved on there. So, yeah, to be a South African on a South African vessel, part of an incredible international team, right there. It's going to be one of the pinnacles of my career. I don't know where you go from there. Now you might ask, this woman, she goes to Antarctica for 7 weeks, so yeah, I have a husband. He's pretty incredible. He's hanging in there. And while we're challenging stereotypes, it's not just the women or the men. My husband has a doctorate. He's an engineer. He's a man of men. But he has been elbow deep in nappies. He's not afraid to cross the line with me. We are a team. And I'm happy to say, that he is someone who has never held me back. And he is a great adventurer. And I believe he is much more intelligent than I am. So when you are looking, that is what you look for. I have one husband, but 3 children. Art, 10 years old, Batu and Lena, twins, each 7. And do I neglect them? I think I have been away. But my children draw ships, they build boats. And I fear, just like with my mother, the fact that she is passionate about being a doctor and her influence washed over into my life. I hope that will be the same for them. I think we also have to have confidence in the mothers we can be and what we do have to offer our children, and focus less on what we do not. And this is where I want to tie in with each of you. You are an enigma as you are sitting here. The potential that you hold, it's infinite. My story cannot be a blueprint for what you should choose in your life. My one student said to me, when I decided to study, I didn't realize that I wasn't closing as many doors as I thought. But whatever it is that you choose, whether it is to be an engineer, a teacher, whether you actually decide to stay home and care for your children, not one of those vocations will be something that you can do on your own. You will always need support from other people. Depending on the role, that support will look a little bit different. I've called in, I've actually challenged myself to leave you a message that would be a little bit relatable and to face my fears and also to still try and dream at the age of 43. So in lockdown, I discovered that I have a passion for rapping. So my final message to you will be contained in a rap. And I wish you all the best with the career choice that you make from here. You are here, but what does that mean? 17 and a science queen. You can't decide what to swat. Should you be an engineer or not? Now you may have heard engineers work hard. It's a man's world out there and you should not start. Nothing can be further from the truth. Our world has problems and we need our youth. Engineers design things high and low, from the rockets in the sky to the mines below, from combustion engines to shafts that turn, to the data in the cloud and machines that learn. Do problems kind of give your mind a thrill? Do the cocks start to turn if you add some will? Does a challenge kick your brain right into gear? Then guess what, lady? You're probably an engineer. Invest in your skills and your education. Equip your life with a good foundation. This is a job where you can do what's new. There's room for you and your lipstick too. Your talents are a gift, unique to you. It does not matter if there's 10 or 2. Don't be afraid of what you dream to do. The best you can be in this world is you. The best you can be is you. Bye bye to you.
So Annie B, everybody. I told you, she's absolutely the best. Oh, wow. And what I really love about everything that everybody has said today is they pursued what they love. And I think that is so important. Everybody is different. We all love different things. It's really cold in Antarctica. You know, put me on a beach with the sun, I will do my research there. Yeah. But everybody pursued what they love, and they're living their best lives based on who they are as individuals. Annie, thank you so much for that presentation. And I really hope that you guys take that. You are who you are, you know, you have the things that you love. Pursue that. And there's so many opportunities in what you love. All right. So we have 3 more speakers to go. And our next speaker is a really amazing person. Her name is Elaine. Elaine is a mechatronic engineer in the making. So she is studying mechatronics engineering, and Elaine's claim to fame is she cannot bake. Apparently, it's really bad. So, Elaine, come on up. Elaine is also vice chair of Student Engineering Council, so she's one of the student leadership in our faculty, and we absolutely love you, Elaine. Here you go.
It's going to be very hard following the rap that we just watched. Morning, everyone. My name is Elaine, and I am a final year mechatronics student. So I will be giving a brief overview of what it's like to be an undergraduate student, basically, studying engineering. Thank you. Very short. Okay, so I'll just start with basically where it all started. I did my high school at an all-girls Catholic school. We had about 50-something science students, and of those 50-something science students, only 6 decided to do physics. It was pretty difficult, considering we had to go to our brother's school to get those facilities to do physics. It wasn't really a mainstream thing, because everyone wanted to be a doctor. So with that, the decision basically came down to whether I wanted to do engineering or I wanted to do medicine. I took a gap year after writing my A-levels, and I worked for an ophthalmologist, that's an eye doctor essentially, that I was shadowing, and I realized that I wasn't really into the clinical aspect of it, but I was more interested in the prosthetics, I was interested in the machinery. So with that came the decision to do biomedical engineering. Now, Stellenbosch offers biomedical engineering as a postgraduate degree, so I had to kind of figure out where I was going to start, and that's where mechatronics came in. So yeah, I got into engineering not knowing what engineering was, essentially. I was just like, mechatronics sounds fancy, I'm going to go for it. And now 4 years later, here I am. So basically, starting my first year, I faced quite a lot of hurdles, the main one being imposter syndrome. So you're in a class with a lot of people from different backgrounds. You have students who have been coding since they were 8. You have students who have been working for their engineering, like for their parents' engineering companies. You have students that have done technical drawings since goodness knows when. And it kind of feels like you're out of place. You know, it feels like you're not supposed to be here. It feels like you're not really doing what you what you came to do, essentially. And this statement, trust yourself, you know more than you think you do, basically carried me through first year, because I didn't trust myself. I was like, okay, what if I make a mistake? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Didn't know anything. But this statement right here, trust yourself, you know more than you think you do, basically carried me forward. Unfamiliar content. I came across computer programming for the very first time in my first year. And let me tell you, when you have a project due the next morning and you have 43 warnings in your code, that is not a fun time. You don't know where you're going wrong. You don't know what you're doing wrong. All you know is I have 43 warnings and this is due at midnight. That is not fun. So it came with facing a lot of unfamiliar content. I had never done technical drawings in my life. Engineering drawings was, it was a tough time. And with all that came with knowing that, no, I didn't come here fully knowing everything there is to know. I came here to learn, and that is exactly what I did. Sure, this is embarrassing. So another big part of going through my first year was dealing with failure. This was the first time I ever failed anything in my entire life, and my world came crumbling down seeing this fail that I saw on my exam portal. But the biggest lesson that I learned from this is when you come in to do engineering, you're going to fail sometimes. Sometimes you get your distinction. Sometimes you don't do as well as you thought you were going to do. But the biggest thing that you need to do is get back up and try again. Safe to say I passed that module the following year. So, yeah, this is basically what a typical desk would look like during my course of the 4 years. So this is just one of the projects that I was working on. We had to design an amplifier. Did it work? Kind of-ish. But you basically learn the skills that you need to carry you through to your final year. These were some of the other projects that I had. On the far left is a very notorious module we call eDesign, where we basically had to design a multimeter from scratch. Didn't know what I was doing at first, got in there and I was like, okay, I'm going to get my hands dirty. I've got the theory to back it, now I just need to do the practical. A lot of sleepless nights went into that, a lot of tears went into that, but safe to say it worked perfectly fine. On the right over there, a great example of what they teach us here is to think on your feet. I don't know if you can all see the blue zip ties that are basically holding our project together. But that was a robotic arm that we had to design from scratch. We had to build the hardware, we had to do the software and the coding, and it was honestly a great time. This is just, I don't know if the video is gonna play. Great. Those are pneumatic cylinders that we basically had to do quite a bit of programming to get that going. But essentially showing you all this is that coming here, it's not just gonna be, I mean, obviously you're gonna be doing your theory, your maths, everything that you need to do. But we've got fun stuff as well that you're basically gonna be taking part in. And I feel like taking part in some of these practicals, I was very lucky to have done most of my practical-based modules pre-COVID. So we got time to get into the labs, get a bit dirty, and one of the things that my lecturers always insist on is to tinker in your free time. So whether it's a little circuit that you're doing or whether it's doing something like this, essentially, tinkering and being curious is something that has always been encouraged. So I'm currently in my final year, and with that comes my final year project. My project this year is basically to design and develop a solar-powered stove. This is just a little snippet of the system that it's going to be. So essentially, this is a project that you do by yourself with a supervisor, of course, and you start from your research, you do your designs, and you actually get to build a prototype that's going to be working at the end of the year. And that's been quite a journey, to be honest, working with Scripsy. But it's been fun nonetheless to actually get to incorporate everything that you've learned into this one big final thing that shows what you've learned as an engineering student here. So outside of academics, I was part of a RES where I was part of the House Committee as well. And I feel like this basically added more to what a well-rounded student at this university will leave with. That's just Finsters from first year, fun times during O Week. But apart from that comes student leadership as well. I'm currently the outgoing vice chair of the Engineering Student Council, which is basically a council that links the students with our lecturers and management. I also sit on the Academic Affairs Council, and I am also an ambassador for WIM-Eng, as part of their 1 Million Girls in STEM program, which I strongly believe that we definitely need more girls in STEM. But with that said, I just want to leave you with this. If you trust yourself, you know, I mean, if you apply and you get in, that's proof enough that you are able to make it. So all you need to do is trust that you know enough to carry you through this degree. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. That's absolutely awesome. And it's just so amazing I'm glad that you actually showed some of the things that you're doing. If you come in here doing an engineering degree, you're not just going to be sitting and writing exams, you're also going to build stuff and real practical things like the dean was saying before. As engineers, we're there to actually be practical and make a difference. So when you're leaving Stellenbosch, you are going into industry to be ready to make a difference as you go. So our next speaker is the outgoing chair of the Engineering Student Council, and she's a postgraduate. And this is Sandri du Plessis, and her claim to fame, the parents might not agree with, she has worked with every single alcohol that exists on the planet. That's because she's a chemical engineer. Sandri, come on up.
Okay, there we go. Hi, everyone. Okay, yeah, so I am the outgoing chairperson of the Engineering Student Council. I'm also not going to rap for you guys. The best I can do is like Eminem, and I don't think that's really appropriate for the setting. So Engineering Student Council chairperson, what that essentially is, like what we essentially are for the faculty is like the head girl or deputy head girl. That's kind of the best parallel that I can draw if the dean is the principal. And I mean, I kind of want to put it out there. It could have also been a head boy, like the incoming chair, who is Matt, who's sitting right in front over there. And both of us are, you know, women. So we do take up space here, and that's a definite good thing. Dr. Toddy, would I be allowed to use one of the chocolates? Yes. Thank you. So to start this off, I'm going to quickly just run through postgrad studies. So as a postgrad, that means I've already done my bachelor's in engineering. I'm doing my PhD, which means I've also done my master's in engineering. And before I get into this presentation, I just want to kind of see if anyone has an idea what a PhD is. If anyone can wager a guess, there is a chocolate on the line, Dr. Toddy just allowed. So any hands? I see a hand over there, yes? That is correct, I will give that. Yes, okay, so essentially, just to run through it, a bachelor's in engineering, that's the first thing you do, that's your undergrad. You do that after you finish your matrics in whichever curriculum you are, if it's NSC, A-levels, Cambridge, whatever, that'll be where you start, then you start with your bachelor's. And that's essentially just the university giving you the necessary skills so that you can be a graduate engineer, walk into any type of industry, any type of academic sphere, and you've got the base level skills to be able to be a functioning engineer, okay? Then you go into your master's. And what you're essentially trying to do in your master's is you're trying to prove to a group of examiners that you have mastered a topic in whichever field you are. Okay, so I was in the separation technology research group. I still am. I am a chemical engineer, as Dr. Toddy says. Yes, we all the best. And I essentially had to prove mastery in the topic of vapor-liquid equilibrium, which I fortunately did. I got that degree at the start of the year, and then I swiftly moved into the PhD field. So what that essentially means, if any of you have watched Big Bang Theory, you'll know that Sheldon Cooper has a variety of doctorates, not one in engineering, unfortunately for him, but essentially you're working towards that doctor title. So if any of you start your degree and you're like, oh wow, I love this place so much because the staff is amazing, as you guys have seen, they rap for us. And I mean, you'll see the university is amazing, the town is amazing, you want to stay here, and then you'll do another 2 years and then another 3 years. So that's essentially that. So I think the best thing about being an engineer is being able to say that you're an engineer. So every time someone asks me, especially when you're in first year, you'll get here in orientation week, and everyone's going to be like, what do you do? And you're going to say, oh, I study engineering. And you're literally going to feel like that, because every single person is going to like look at you with this look of shock on their face. I promise you, I got so many hugs in my first year where people were like, we are so sorry. And then they just walked away. But you feel very cool. So I guess I'm also just going to like jump straight into the gist of this. Obviously, stereotypes, they're a thing. One of the big ones, obviously, being that, yo, guys, we're so male-dominated in this field. Although that is still true in industry, as our previous speakers have pointed out, I can confidently say that that is not really the case in the specific departments anymore. Another big one is that we're socially awkward and afraid of people. No, guys, we are just people that like math, we enjoy solving problems, and we enjoy like just, you know, being able to think outside of the box. That is what an engineer is, that is what we do. If you feel like that kind of solves, I mean, you like studying with a math problem that you can't figure out, it's a puzzle that you're trying to figure out, and you really enjoy that, then this definitely is the place for you, okay? You don't have to feel like you're going to lose your femininity or be socially awkward, because that's not how it works. So just to prove that that is actually not the case, this is my final year chemical engineering group. We were very tight-knit. We still have like a WhatsApp group that we like chat to each other over. So that was at engineering ball. To give you guys an idea, we're normal students, like just like you'd see in any other faculty on campus. You can also see that like on the, in this case it would be the left-hand side. The people there, like we're diverse. We have girls, we have guys, we have people from various backgrounds, we had international students, we really covered all the spectrums, and it was really cool because it allowed you that opportunity to really see a variety of perspectives that you would not have seen had you not come to university. So not just engineering, university life itself, it's really something to enjoy and something to experience because it teaches you something different. I can't really put my finger on it, but the experiences you get to have here, it's going to be completely different to anything that you've had so far. And as you guys can see, Kewan wearing his McDonald's socks, that was like a constant thing in our class. Like, you always saw him with those socks. It was the weirdest thing, but he rocked them, so yeah, we move. So obviously, as I said, I had to go through NSC, and I was one of those, like, despite still being a little bit of like a social butterfly, I love people, I was also a little bit of a nerd. I was that person who was in the library over recess, like working on my homework problems, had 9 subjects, as well as AdMaths in another curriculum, and I did quite okay. Like, I didn't think I did too bad. And then first year came. And there was this real thing where they were like, "Deer is presteer." And what that essentially translates to is, passing is an achievement. And they always told us that 50 is a pass, and if you get a 51, you're neglecting your friends. So as you guys can see, I made a real effort to prove that I was not neglecting my friends. I even got a fail over there for good measure, just to prove that I actually spent some time with my friends. And as Elaine mentioned earlier, like, failure is part of the territory. You're not always going to snap things the first time. I mean, fortunately, I got drawings the first time. That was a miracle. I don't know how that happened. But I ended up failing strength of materials, which, yeah, we didn't talk about that. But then I got to my second year and I realized, you know what, I really have to like get back into that balance. When I was in high school, I did everything. I was a hockey player, I did choir, I did arts. I really tried to stay as well-rounded as I possibly could. And then I got to first year and I was like, oh, academics. And obviously it didn't work. So then in my second year, I was like, okay, let's try this again. And I played hockey for my PSO. I became a mentor for some of the first year students as I was the second year. And I really like made an effort to get out of this building. And that worked. I ended up, you know, passing and graduating, and yay. When I saw that pass degree, guys, everyone got messages from me that day. It was a very exciting day for myself and my parents, obviously. And I mean, that's my supervisor. She's still my supervisor, that side, yeah. And I mean, now, that was my group of the girls in the class. And I mean, we're all busy being like, what do you call it? Like, baanbrekers. Like, we're essentially paving the way in a variety of different fields. We've got people in MinPro at mining companies. We've got people at, like, you know, being data scientists, or at control tech companies where they're working like process control. Like, they've literally went into every single field. I'm pretty sure we have someone that ended up in like a law environment. I don't actually know how that happened. I should probably ask. But literally, like, we're everywhere. And it is actually really amazing to see that the degree really opened up so many various opportunities. I mean, here I am doing postgrad, but I've got friends in industry and they're making it, okay? So another thing that you're probably going to have to get used to is the fact that you'll probably get addicted to coffee. This was a meme that was made of me in my first year. So if you guys ever go to my brew in the Nielsen and you say the Sandri special, they'll know exactly what you're talking about, because I get a coffee there every single day for essentially the past 7 years. And that translates to, I'm not addicted to coffee, I just drink it all the time. And that is true. You can literally see my cup of coffee is on the desk up there. Like, I drink coffee all the time, and it does make this degree a lot more bearable. And yeah, that is the best analogy that I can give you guys of what engineering is like. Like, sometimes it's going to be going quite well, and then other days it's going to hit you with like a hockey ball straight in the face, and you're going to have to take it. But regardless of that, you're still going to have fun. You're still going to win the game and the league. And you're going to end up, you know, realizing that it seemed a lot worse at the time, but you feel so achieved and fulfilled when you're done that it's pretty amazing. So this has been my postgraduate studies. So since I started my master's, I also entered the student leadership sphere. I was the secretary for the postgraduate student council. We also have our current secretary for postgraduate student council right up there in front. And we did a lot of things, guys. We went to play laser tag and bowling. We had like an opening of this think bench that's in front of the engineering building that was like sponsored by RMB. Like that was a really cool event where we got to meet like the rector and like all the very important people on the SU council. We planted a tree that you guys should be able to see outside chalkboard just now when you get food. It's called a pom-pom tree, which makes like little cotton candy poms. Yeah, we went and volunteered at the Animal Welfare Society Stellenbosch, which is just outside of town, and went on a bunch of ice cream dates because there's so many ice cream places in this town. Like, if that is the only reason to come and do like engineering at Stellenbosch, it's a good reason. So yeah, this is how a typical day in the life of a postgrad student looks. That is my desk in the postgrad office in Cambridge. As you guys can see, coffee collection. I also have a very cool computer screen that got like sponsored to me by the department, which is pretty cool. And then that is my equipment, which she doesn't look like much, right? But she operates at around 300 bar. We call her Small Cell. We weren't very creative with her name, unfortunately, but she's got an older brother whose name is Big Cell, and he's a lot bigger than she is, which is obviously why. So I mean, yeah, that's the equipment that I work on at the moment, doing my research, and I mean, it doesn't look like much, but I mean, I'm working with spanners, guys. I never in my life thought I would know what the difference between a size 8 and 10 spanner is, and I can see a bolt and be like, that's the type of spanner I need, and literally immediately take it and know, and like, it's amazing. The feeling that you get, the like, almost you feel like like a pro, and it's really pretty cool. And then I had to put the same photo that Elaine put there, and the reason I wanted to put this photo is, I don't know if you guys can see what the like, almost dispersion or the difference between the men and women on the council are, but we were like an 8 to 12 ratio. So as I've said, we do take up space. So please come here, it's really amazing. We need more women, and it's not that you're essentially left in the shadows and people don't feel like you deserve to be here, because we're literally on the Engineering Student Council, which means we do need to be here. And I mean, I can say that postgraduate studies, I've been saying how it's going and how it's going and how it's going. And I can tell you guys it's going pretty good. I mean, you end up getting through those phases where you have that imposter syndrome, as Elaine mentioned. It's a real big one. Like, you're not always going to feel like you're worthy. You're not going to feel like you deserve to be a I mean, wow, like Elaine said, I didn't grow up with any engineering role models. I didn't know anyone in engineering. My mom studied at Isaac Carstens. So I literally had no one to like take me and say, listen, you can do this. And it was kind of that leap of faith to decide, you know what, I'm going to try this, and I back myself to do it. And if you guys are like uncertain about if you want to do it and you're like not in matric yet, do come to one of the engineering open days. That was what sold me, like that, trust me, I'm an engineer t-shirt that they always wear, was like one of the things that I wanted to work towards. And I mean, now that I'm here, I can honestly say that I've been through undergraduate studies, I've been through my first postgrad degree, and I mean, there's been so many times where there's been tears, there's been a lot of tears, and where there's been self-doubt, and it really isn't necessary. Even if you fail, even if you get that 45 or 40% for a module and you have to redo it, like, that's completely okay. Like, you're gonna get through that too, and you're still gonna be able to make that degree in 4 or 5 years, and you're still gonna be able to take up space. So that's what I'm gonna leave you guys with today. I hope you enjoyed a lot of the other side of engineering, so not just the technical side, but also student life, which you're also gonna be able to experience. And yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for making the time to come out here on a Saturday morning. I have the privilege to tell you a little bit more about the programs that we offer at Stellenbosch University and the kind of support that will be available to you. And I'm sure if you're sitting here, it means that you're already considering both engineering and Stellenbosch University, and I think our role models that came before me did a really good job of giving you a little bit of a flavor of the kind of people that you will engage with when you come here. And from my side, I would like to welcome you next year or the year after when you come to us for this degree. Is there some pointer of some sort? So many people spoke about what engineering is, and to me, it's problem solving. It's really problem solving in a wide variety of different fields, using a wide variety of tools that most certainly include also people skills. In addition to all the mathematics and the stereotypes that have been stressed, engineering is, per definition, a field that provides solutions for the kind of things that society grapples with, the kind of things that impact on our environments, on our quality of life, on our social structures, and on the physical tools that we have available, including also technology. So what I love about engineering is that it's really purposeful. And there's many, many reasons why engineering is the kind of career that would keep giving, not only to yourself, but also to the world around you. So I cannot commend engineering as a career choice any higher than that. So really, we would love to welcome you in this space. So we offer a number of engineering disciplines at Stellenbosch University, as you've heard. Some of them, like biomedical engineering, is only at postgraduate level, but at undergraduate level already we offer a large number of different programs, and I'm going to talk about them very shortly. Then I'm going to just mention again some of the aspects that have been touched on again around studying engineering at Stellenbosch University and the kind of support that's available to help you succeed at your studies, and that would launch you into a career that hopefully would be incredibly fulfilling for decades going into the future. And then if you are considering to apply to study at Stellenbosch, I want to talk about the application process and the selection process. We unfortunately have limited spaces available, so there is a selection process, but we would really love to have you in that pool of applicants and hopefully also welcome you here. And then I'm just going to joke a bit about the profile of a typical engineering student because, there's many stereotypes and all of them are wrong. So, yeah. So first of all, we've got 5 departments. So there's already 3 or 2 listed here actually. Electronic engineering is one department. They also offer the data engineering focus area as part of the degree in electrical and electronic engineering. In that field, you would be looking at things like the energy sector, electricity supply, robotics, informatics, telecommunication. There's many programming efforts going into there. It also links over to the mechatronic engineering degree that's offered by the mechanical mechatronic department. Since 2020, we have now also within that Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering a data engineering focus area where the focus is more is towards data science type of applications within engineering. So there's a lot of statistics and additional mathematics and programming and computer science within that that program that opens up additional career choices for students who go into that field. And at civil engineering, the Department of Civil Engineering offers this degree. It's a broad degree. It covers all the different disciplines within civil engineering. For example, structural engineering, water or hydraulic engineering, which includes water supply, water purification, water dams and infrastructure related to that, reticulation. And also geotechnical engineering, that's using the soil to support things. What did I leave out? Transportation engineering, road safety, things like that. And if you go into postgraduate studies within civil engineering, then you will start to specialize in one of these areas. In mechanical and mechatronic engineering sits in one department. So there we are looking at cars, aeroplanes, the stereotype things around mechanical engineering, but also we are looking at things like sound and vibration that Annie spoke about. We're also looking at things like, we're also looking at a broader field of control systems in mechatronic engineering. and how that mechanical engineering interfaces with electrical and electronic engineering. We're also looking at things like robotics. They also have a specialized discipline in there around the biomedical engineering, where we're looking at, creating the engineered parts of medicine, so joint replacements and things like that. So there are all sorts of interesting things in that department. Then we've got process engineering or chemical engineering. They can't decide what they want to be called. Used to be chemical engineering, now they're process engineering. They might be going back to chemical engineering. There's also a lot of aspects around how to process minerals, how to make things like shampoo and the kind of chemical products that we're using. Also looking at biofuels and extraction. They've got a big focus on environmental engineering because the chemical engineering field can have a very detrimental effect on environment, and managing that in a good way is important. So there's that. And then industrial engineering, the one that took you so long to come up with. Industrial engineering is all about making processes efficient. So there's a lot of optimization, there's a lot of business and entrepreneurship sitting within industrial engineering. So it's also a very exciting field that also now make use of big data. So there's also a lot of data science being built into that program as well. So Stellenbosch University has a good reputation, both nationally and also internationally, and that is, I believe, largely due to the quality of the lecturing teams that we have here and the extent to which they interface with industry, both the engineering industry, but also international research groups. So the faculty is very motivated to provide good quality teaching and research opportunities to our students, and they themselves are also hands-on in that regard, as you could tell from some of the speakers. Our students do have high success rates that I hope is also in part thanks to our contributions to support them, but it's also because we tend to draw very strong students from the South African schools. But yeah, we do a lot of research. Some of that R500 million of turnover that we have in the faculty is because of the industry footprint and the research collaborations that we have, so it does not just come from the teaching side. I think one of the great things about Stellenbosch is just the town is really, the students are the town, you know. I think if you're a student in this town, you would feel as if this town belongs to you, and that feeling is in fact quite true, and those of us who live here would know that over December break suddenly you have parking everywhere. So it is a fact that the town is a student town, and that is a very pleasant experience from a student perspective to have. But we do have also excellent residences and a campus that is very well equipped in terms of sporting facilities, library facilities, residence spaces, and safe routes as well. A very scenic environment where you can enjoy life around Stellenbosch as well. So there are many things. We also have excellent laboratory spaces, which for engineering is important. Really world-class for various reasons. We have laboratory spaces that can compete with first world universities in every respect. So there's that. So there's many equipment and opportunities available. And at the moment, actually, the university is investing a very large amount of money, just short of R1 billion, in renewing our engineering facilities. So just these buildings, you are sitting in the front wing of the building, the general engineering building, but behind you, there are 3 or 4 or 5 additional flanks full of lecture halls, offices, lots of laboratories, where our students are engaged in learning activities and research activities. And it's systematically being refurbished, and so quite a bit of it has already been done. We're probably almost halfway with the project. So it will continue going for the next 4 years still. All our degrees are so-called EXA accredited. That means that they will be recognized as a basis for professional registration in South Africa, certainly, but also in most other countries in the world. So every country that is a signatory to the Washington Accord will recognize your degree as a basis for engineering work in their country. I already mentioned our dedicated and knowledgeable lecturers. We also have the support of a very enthusiastic teaching and learning advisor in the faculty. We also have 2 educational psychologists that only serve our engineering students, in addition to other services on campus. We have student support services within the Dean's Division that tend to focus on the first years, because as someone mentioned, you know, the step over from school to university, there are many adjustments that you will have to make, not only in terms of the workload, but also in terms of the level of freedom that you enjoy as an adult in a town like this. And the management, time management, and the juggling act of all the opportunities that you have and all the things that you can get involved with your studies. And in the first year, we also make an effort from the Dean's Division side to have regular contact with our first year students, so that hopefully you would feel comfortable to come and tell us if there's something that's holding you back, and that we can help you sort that out. And then in the evenings, we have extra group learning sessions, teaching assistants to just also help first years get into the groove of engineering studies. So from an admission and selection perspective, if you apply to Stellenbosch University, you typically do so with your grade 11 results by before July of your matric year. So your grade 11 results will determine your provisional admission, but your grade 12 results will determine your final admission. So we will look at your grade 11 results and tell you, yes, you probably have a space in our program, assuming that you repeat the performance in grade 12. So from that perspective, let me just quickly talk a little bit about admission and selection. So admission is, let's call it the minimum criteria, right? If you do not have strong enough mathematics, physical sciences, matric average performance, then we don't want to risk, that you waste time here and not succeed. So we do have minimum criteria, what we believe is the kind of level of performance you need at school in order to be able to succeed in engineering. So those are the gold, or whatever color you would call that, the gold criteria. So you need to have a matric average above 70%, and a mathematics mark above 70%, and a physical science mark above 60%. And we bake all of that in what we call a selection score, which is basically 6 times your matric average, plus your maths mark, plus your physical science mark, and that's what we call the selection score. Now, we have typically more applications than what we have spaces available. And it also differs across the program. So some programs are more popular than others. So there we have even more applications compared to the number of seats that we have available. And because of that, we do what we call selection, right? So we pick the best students for each program. And that selection threshold may depend on how many applicants we've got for the different programs. So that selection threshold gets moved every year in order to, according to the applicant pool. But typically, it sits in the order of 75% matric average, and 75% maths, and 65% physical sciences. That's the typical selection cutoff. So from that perspective, you will get an indication based on your grade 11 results, and we always say once we've given you a provisional space based on your grade 11 results, if you do the same or better, you will keep that space. So if at the selection stage on grade 11 results we offer you a conditional space, you should be able to keep that space unless you do significantly worse in your matric examination. Okay, so the closing date for applications is typically at the end of July of the year before you will enter university. So if you're in matric, you will apply preferably before July of that year in order to be a first year the next year. So this is the closing date for applications to be a first year next year. So you're too late for next year. Sorry. Apply next year for 2024. All right. What's the profile of a typical engineering student? I think I'm going to play this video. Just please, it's really tongue in the cheek. Most engineering students actually do not fit this profile at all.
I'm worried about little Dilbert. He's not like other kids.
What do you mean?
Yesterday, I left him alone for a minute, and he disassembled the TV, our clock, and the stereo.
That's perfectly normal. Kids take things apart.
Oh! The part that worries me is he used the components to build a ham radio set.
Oh dear.
Is that bad?
Normally I'd want to run an EEG on him, but the machine isn't working. It's worse than I feared.
What is it?
I'm afraid your son has the knack.
The knack?
The knack. It's a rare condition characterized by an extreme intuition about all things mechanical and electrical, and utter social ineptitude.
Can he lead a normal life?
No. He'll be an engineer.
No!
There.
There. The utter social ineptitude is not true. For 95% of the students. The others make up with other talents. Anyway, so, I mean, you've seen the Engineering Student Council photo. I think it's great, you know, that the women are obviously standing up to fulfill leadership roles, maybe to a greater extent, because they are overrepresented within our Engineering Student Council compared to our student population. But what I can say is that we have grown very substantially in terms of the number of females that we take in on first year level. When I was a student together with Annie, we didn't have a single female lecturer. You had one at mechanical engineering. Most of the other departments didn't have that privilege. But I didn't have a single female lecturer. And now we are sitting with about 20% female staff members, and we are looking at 40% female intake in the first year. So you can clearly see how that trend is approaching the 50% mark. And so I do believe that you at least have more and have more role models, maybe not better role models. The one you had was certainly a great one. But I think from that perspective, things are getting easier. Those stereotypes are being broken. It is improving from that perspective. And so really, I would love to welcome you in this faculty also in 2024 or earlier, if there's some of you who have already applied for next year. Oh, I forgot there's still some more. Anyway, the profile of a typical engineering student. I think there's been much spoken about it, but I think that the love for problem solving and in really engaging, even if it's difficult and complex problems, systems coming together, how they fit together, and the kind of tools that you can employ to solve those problems are various. And really, we would like to see you as part of the engineering corps of the future. Okay. Thank you. Now, August.
You get to stay here. You get to stay here. You get to stay here. Yes. Thank you very much, Soleil. So, do we have any burning questions for this incredible woman here? Anyone have any questions around admission or anything for Annie B? Sorry, Annie, you're now Annie B in my mind.
She's actually
for Sandri. Oh, Sandri, you want to ask a question? Oh, okay.
Most of the speakers today gave like a little tidbit of like
I guess, advice to the students sitting here today? I think we all would love to hear what you have for us. Putting you on the spot, I apologize.
No, that's absolutely perfectly fine. I think, to me, just grab opportunities for growth. That's what I would say. There are many opportunities in life where you can grow, and the risk is that you choose, out of fear of failure usually, to not use them. But just, sometimes you need to choose to ignore that fear and just do it anyway. So that's my advice.
Yeah. I think there's quite a few females in postgraduate roles. Has that ratio of female-male gender changed in industry as well? So like you mentioned a figure of 20%, compared to a much lower ratio when you were an undergraduate student, but in the workplace environment, has that also improved?
Well, I believe so. If you say industry, it's obviously quite wide across the whole engineering field. And I think there are certain industries who are slower in that regard, but it would reflect what we take in who succeeds. That pipeline ends up in industry eventually. So in the same way that when I was a young engineer, there were very few women. It certainly doubled or more since then in my industry. So the trend is a clear upward trend. And I think also what I notice, and anyone else can maybe pitch in there, is that the postgraduate students, women tend to also go for postgraduate studies at a slightly higher ratio than the men.
I'm going to answer a different question, because I don't think that's the right question. I think the right question is, how are females perceived, or how are female engineers perceived in industry? And are they valued, and are they taken up, and do they have the same opportunities than male engineers? And I think you've heard at least two examples here this morning, of female engineers who really stated, that they are at the top of the game. I mean, Mia, she's the vice president of a gold mining company. She was a mine manager of a Chilean mine. Now, I've been to Chile a few times. I can tell you that is the most masculine-dominated country, one of the most masculine-dominated countries that I've been in. And she was able to be a mine manager. And I promise you, 90%, if not 95% of the people who reported to her in that mining company were males, right? So this whole dimension in the world has changed, not only in South Africa, even in a country like Chile, in Europe, right? My own daughter is a chemical engineer. She works for an international pharmaceutical company, and they don't even ask, are you male or female? So to answer your question is, maybe they are not truly represented 50-50 in the industry yet, but I have not once heard any of our students come back and say, you know what, they don't value me in industry because I'm a female. So I think that's the question. Will you be valued? And my perception and my experience has been that you will be valued as an engineer out there. Not as a female engineer, but as an engineer. And I think that is what we all should strive for. Sorry to interrupt.
No interrupted. Thank you. You can add to your question if you wish.
Okay, so with that, thank you again, Celeste. And I just want to give a hand to all the speakers. Will you join me in doing that? And then last thing, which I really want to do, can I have all the female learners stand up? Don't be shy. If you are at Stellenbosch University, you are allowed to do that too. Okay, so I want to give a round of applause to you, to celebrate you for being women in STEM and being the future of the industry. Yeah, so with that, you can have a seat. With that, it's been an amazing morning. We've come to the end of the program. Thank you so much for being such an amazing crowd and hanging out with me. We have one final gift for you, and that's going to be lunch, which is free of charge. So as you go out of the doors, you're going to receive a meal voucher. All the food is halal prepared. So you grab a meal voucher, and then you can go out into the cafe and onto the deck, and please have something to eat. And whilst you're doing that, one final thing, there are some people in here, there are some lecturers and some postgraduate students and some undergraduate students from Stellenbosch University. Could you stand up quickly? All right, so these people, have a look at these people. Grab a hold of these people and ask them every question you can think about today, okay? And talk to them, find out more about their experiences. They love talking, they want to tell you more, and just have lunch with them and hang out. So we're inviting you to hang out with these people, and the dean is also around, vice deans, all sorts of people. I will be there. Take selfies, #WomenSU, Women in Engineering. And that's a wrap for this morning. Thank you.